Hello everybody. Before we start this video, I would like to take a moment to offer my thoughts and prayers to those affected by Hurricanes Helene and Milton. I was actually in Asheville this past weekend and the damage sustained there was quite gut-wrenching. I will leave a donation link down below to be able to help those in need from this recovery of the hurricane, as it is truly a tragedy for all Americans. Thank you. Welcome to the Jersey Barrier, where we love highways and we hate New Jersey. Today, we are going to be talking about Interstate 81 from Knoxville to Roanoke. Probably one of the roads of all time. I don't necessarily enjoy this road, but we're going to talk about it because it's a pretty important one. Interstate 81 goes from just around Knoxville, Tennessee, all the way up to the Canadian border, just north of Watertown, New York. Today we're going to be talking about the Knoxville to Roanoke section, and we are going to start by going northbound. Right here, we're actually not on 81, we're on I-40, but you can see on the mileage sign, we do get Bristol and Asheville. Asheville being 40's control city, and Bristol being 81's control city, which is kind of cool. They put both control cities on that sign, as we're about to meet 81. And on this one, we get 81 North Bristol and 40 East Asheville, 2 lanes in each direction. Makes a lot of sense. I would argue that it should be Roanoke on the sign right away, but Bristol is not a terrible choice. And on the first mileage sign, we do get Morristown 9 and Bristol 75. Morristown is actually pretty large, so Morristown as a secondary is fine. And on our minor junctions in Tennessee, we do get 81 North Bristol. Tennessee generally does not mess around with secondaries on minor junctions, and I'm okay with that, but I would actually prefer a secondary on a minor junction. Just because I'm from Illinois, I kind of have to say it, but realistically, I think it's better for local traffic. And this next mileage sign is kind of funny. We get Kingsport and Bristol. 81 doesn't really go to Kingsport, so I don't necessarily agree with Kingsport on here. Bristol is okay. I'd rather have Roanoke, but this sign, this billboard on the left side, sums up Tennessee in a nutshell. God is still in control. We get our next mileage sign for Tri-Cities Airport and Bristol. They really do not want to sign Roanoke, huh? When we meet I-26, we will get 81 North Bristol, as we would expect. And on our mileage signs, we get 11W now as our secondary, and Bristol as our primary at 19 miles away. Anything to avoid signing Roanoke, right? And we finally get a mention of Roanoke, just a mere 12 miles away from Bristol. So that's pretty provincial by Tennessee here. Usually Tennessee does some pretty good stuff, but this is not one of those things. And now at more minor junctions in Bristol, Tennessee, we get Knoxville and Roanoke. And welcome to Virginia. Virginia is for lovers. At 381, we get I-81 North Roanoke. More minor junctions, we get 81 North Roanoke. So now that we know that Virginia is going to sign Roanoke, we can just skip ahead, right? Right? Oh boy. We have Roanoke off the sign now. We have Abingdon 7 and Whitfield 61. We have the secondary is the primary now. And this is terrible. Why is VDOT doing this? And on minor junctions now, we have Abingdon and Meadowview. I mean, I've heard of Abingdon before, and I've driven on 81 more times than anybody needs to. And I've never even heard of Meadowview, and I've driven this road, so I don't even know what Meadowview is. I don't know why it's on the sign, and I don't know why I-81 northbound is signed for Meadowview. But they don't take it too seriously because now we get Marion on the sign instead of Meadowview. We never get Meadowview on a mileage sign. We just get Marion and Whitfield. And now our minor junctions get a little bit better. We get Abingdon and Marion on the minor junctions. Honestly, anything is better than Meadowview. I kind of look at it as tiers for control cities, like Roanoke is a tier 1 or Bristol maybe. And then there's Blacksburg or Withville that are tier 2, like they should be a secondary, but probably not a primary. Then there's your Abingdons and your Marions, which are, I would say, tier 3, where it's, you should probably put it on the top line of a sign, but if you want to make it the secondary, I wouldn't hate you for it. But then you have Meadowview, the little tiny town of, I looked it up, it's 900 on the sign, and I would consider that tier 4, and that is just awful. Why would you ever have that on a sign? That shouldn't even really be a top line city, but if you wanted to make it a top line, I wouldn't hate you, but it's still terrible to have on a junction. And now we finally get Withville and Roanoke. They could probably put Blacksburg on the secondary here and Withville up top, but for whatever reason, Virginia not doing 3 lines on the sign like they normally do. Not very good. And we get Withville as our minor junction control city, which if they're using it as their secondary is fine, but it should be Blacksburg or Roanoke. And we meet 77 for America's favorite wrong way concurrency. We get Charlotte, NC, and Roanoke. I don't know if you need the NC there. I mean, it's Charlotte, 77 North, Bluefield, and Charleston, WVA. And welcome to the wrong way concurrency. We get South 77, North 81, North 11, and South 52 all at the same time. And 52 actually is not a north-south road, it's an east-west road because it's an even digit. And on our mileage sign here, we do get Pulaski 23, Roanoke 74, Charlotte 143. So they're throwing in control cities for both, but I think they should throw in Blacksburg as a secondary. And on a minor junction in Fort Chiswell on the other end of the 77-81 concurrency, we get only Bristol and Roanoke, which I understand why they do that. They want in-state control cities here, but I think they should put control cities for both here, especially since they're splitting at the very next exit. And at our split, we do get 81 North Roanoke, 77 South Charlotte, NC. And we still get 2 lines on the sign. We get Pulaski 13, Roanoke 65. There's room for Blacksburg on there, or Christiansburg at the very least. And now we get Christiansburg on the sign. We get Radford, Christiansburg, Roanoke, which is pretty cool. And we get an overhead mileage sign, which is pretty cool. I like that. After Radford, we get Christiansburg, Salem, Roanoke. Not a bad sign. And we get our pull-through, and our pull-through is 481 North, Roanoke, and Lexington. Lexington is not a great choice, but it's there. I'll talk about that one in the next video. Shawsville, Elliston. What's not mentioned there is Blacksburg and Christiansburg for Virginia Tech. That is the same exit as US 460. And our next mileage sign is Salem, Roanoke, and Winchester. Winchester? We'll talk about that one in the next video as well. And we do have some pretty good views on 81. This is the only thing I'll show for this video. It looks pretty nice, and it goes through a lot of the Appalachian Mountains. It's pretty beautiful. And as we're meeting 581, we get 581 South for Roanoke and 81 North Lexington. And this will be the end of 81 that we're going to be on. I took a little screenshot of 581 in Roanoke, and there you can see downtown Roanoke. So now we will turn around and go southbound on 81. This is at the 581 junction, and we see 81 south is for Salem and Bristol. Salem is the next town over, and Bristol is both smaller and further away than Blacksburg or Christiansburg. So I would say that they should definitely sign this for Blacksburg or at least Christiansburg at this point. And you can see this is a little bit before the junction. They just have this little side of the road sign that does say Blacksburg. I imagine that's probably because of the Roanoke airport traffic, but I'm not sure. So now we get our mileage sign and a sign for Christiansburg, Withville, and Bristol. Bristol being the bottom line, I don't think is very good. However, Christiansburg definitely should be the top line, but I think it should be Christiansburg, Blacksburg, and Knoxville on the bottom line, since Knoxville is much bigger. It's about 1 million people for the metro area. And on 460, we get our junction with 81, north for Salem and Roanoke, and south for Radford and Bristol. I think if anything, that should be Bristol and Knoxville. That would actually be a really good dual control, I think. But I'm sure VDOT will never sign a good dual control city. And now we get Bluefield and Bristol on our wrong way concurrency, both of which are small border towns that both states can sign. And I disagree with both of them. And now we get a mileage sign on the concurrency for Wytheville, Bluefield, and Bristol, which I think neither of those or none of those should actually be on this sign. And now at our split, we do get 81 South Bristol, 77 North Bluefield, and Charleston. And now we get Marion and Bristol, and we'll keep doing this weird two-line thing now because we hate signing anything in Tennessee, and I won't go through all the mileage signs on this section. But we do finally get a mention of Knoxville, 12 miles away from Bristol. Bristol 12, Knoxville 123. It was not that much further, and Knoxville is significantly larger and should have been the control city from just about west of Salem or so. And on 381, the little stub road into Bristol, we get 81 South, Kingsport, and Knoxville. 81 doesn't really go to Kingsport, and we don't have a pull through on 81, which you could argue to say that it probably should not be a control city. And welcome to Tennessee. Looks like our mileage signs are going to degrade significantly. And on this mileage sign, we get Tri-Cities Airport and Johnson City. And 81 does not go to Johnson City. It doesn't even come particularly close. It's in a different metro area. The whole deal. There's no reason at all that Johnson City should be on that sign. It should definitely be Knoxville. But on minor junctions, we do get Knoxville and Bristol. But we get Johnson City and Knoxville on the next mileage sign. And at 26, we do get 81 South Knoxville as well. And now we get Jonesboro and Knoxville. They're just kind of doing the next town now, and then Knoxville, and then Morristown and Knoxville. This sign is kind of funny because we have Tunnel North Exit 8 prohibited Class 1 explosives. I didn't know there were different classes to the explosives. And right before our 40 junction, we get Knoxville 37, Asheville 85, the eastbound 40 control city, which is kind of weird because you would never go south on 81 to go east on 40 to go to Asheville. You were to take a 26. And we get our default onto 40 West Knoxville and 40 East Asheville. Now, if you got lost by all of the weird signage by VDOT and TDOT, well, here's a summary for you. You can pause right now to see what they signed. Now, what would Jeremy do? I would definitely make some changes. First off, going northbound, it would just be Roanoke, and then Morristown, Bristol, and Blacksburg as secondaries. Going southbound, I would do Blacksburg up until about Salem, and then I would do Knoxville with Christiansburg being on the sign, and then Bristol, Morristown, and Sevierville being secondaries along the way. And thank you guys for watching. This has been The Jersey Barrier. Subscribe for more. We post videos every single Tuesday, and make sure you click the bell so you don't miss when we post. I will see you guys in the next one. Make sure to subscribe and watch the video that's recommended to you, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.